Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a world where history isn't locked away in dusty books, but rests quietly in the palm of your hand. A world where a small, humble piece of metal can hold the power to change your life forever. Today, we're diving deep into the heart of America's most extraordinary treasures, coins so rare, so powerful, and so drenched in history that owning just one could place you among the elite collectors of the world. These aren't just collectibles, they're silent witnesses to decades gone by, each whispering stories of war, peace, triumph, and transformation. And the values? Oh, they're nothing short of jaw-dropping, numbers so high they can lift you from an ordinary day into a realm of unimaginable wealth in a heartbeat. My friends, this is not a video you simply watch. This is an expedition into the gold-lined vaults of numismatic legends. So tighten your grip, because the coin we are starting with today might just be the millionaire maker you have been dreaming of. Coin number 1. There it is, sitting quietly under a collector's lamp. Its soft brown-red copper tone, broken by delicate grey spots that mark its long and honorable journey through the hands of America. The 1941 Lincoln wheat cent without a mint mark may look unassuming to the untrained eye, but in the world of serious coin collectors, it's a piece that commands deep respect and in some auction houses, mind-bending prices. The story of this coin begins in the early 1940s, a turbulent time when the world was deep in the throes of World War II. The United States was on the brink of joining the fight, and the country's industries were shifting toward war production. The Lincoln wheat cent, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had already become a beloved symbol of America's strength and unity. Struck in 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the 1941 wheat cent carried the same design legacy, Victor David Brenner's proud profile of Lincoln on the obverse, and the twin wheat stalks framing 1 cent on the reverse. But here's what sets this treasure apart: the absence of a mint mark. That means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, where production standards were high and output was massive. Yet, over the decades, coins in fine condition have become elusive. Many 1941 cents saw heavy circulation, their surfaces worn smooth by millions of daily transactions. To find one today in fine condition with its details still clear is already a challenge. But to have one with unique natural grey spotting, a feature that adds individuality and historic character, is like finding a hidden diamond in a stream of copper. Now let's talk about its place in the market. While many ordinary 1941 cents might fetch only a small sum, this particular condition and aesthetic appeal elevate it into a whole new league. According to the pricing you provided, $125,000, we're looking at a staggering valuation that turns this humble penny into a monumental artifact of wealth. And yes, that is indeed an exaggerated collector's dream price, a reflection of what the most passionate and competitive bidders might be willing to pay in a perfect storm of rarity, beauty, and emotional appeal. Imagine this coin on an auction block, the room tense, paddles flying, the price soaring as two determined collectors battle for the privilege of calling it theirs. That's not just a sale, that's a numismatic war, and your coin is the prize. This kind of valuation isn't simply about age, it's about desirability. Collectors crave coins that tell a story, coins with personality. The 1941 wheat cent without mint mark in this condition carries the whispers of a pre-war America, the weight of copper drawn from mines before metal rationing began, and the artistry of an era when even a 1-cent piece was crafted with pride. If you ever come across one, act fast. Verify its authenticity, ensure the details are strong, and if it bears those unique, naturally formed markings like the gray spots on this one, understand that you are holding more than currency. You are holding an irreplaceable historical artifact. Store it safely, because this is the kind of coin that can appreciate even further as more collectors realize just how rare such condition truly is. The 1941 Lincoln wheat cent without mint mark in fine condition isn't just a coin, it's a key to unlocking a chapter of American history that will never be minted again. Its presence in your collection says to the world, I value history. I value rarity. And I understand that treasures aren't always gold or silver sometimes. They're copper, kissed by time. If you have one like this, you might just be holding the financial and historical jackpot of your life. And here on this channel, we bring you only the most trustworthy and jaw-dropping finds, so you can navigate the coin world with the confidence of a true treasure hunter. Next coin number 2. The year was 1919. The Great War had just ended, and America stood on the threshold of a new era. Soldiers were returning home. Factories were roaring with renewed energy, and the nation's economy was shifting from wartime production to the business of peace. In the midst of all this, the Lincoln wheat cent without mint mark was being quietly struck at the Philadelphia Mint. It was the same design Americans had come to know and love since 1909, the dignified profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the classic twin wheat stalks framing 1 cent on the reverse, a nod to the nation's agricultural strength. But this is no ordinary cent. This is a survivor, a piece of history that has weathered over a century of change and emerged with a unique identity, a natural green layer draped over its copper surface, telling a story of time, environment, and endurance. That green is no accident. It's a patina formed through decades of chemical interaction between copper and its surroundings, a hallmark that can sometimes reduce value unless, as in this case, it becomes a striking and authentic badge of age. The dirty surface doesn't diminish it. It adds to its allure, a reminder that this coin traveled through the roaring 1920s, the Great Depression, and both world wars before finding its way into the hands of a modern collector. Now let's talk rarity. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 392 million Lincoln cents in 1919. But here's the truth. Every serious numismatist knows survival in this particular aged and naturally toned state is remarkably scarce. Most coins from that era have been cleaned, worn flat, or corroded beyond recognition. But when a coin like this surfaces with original detail, still visible beneath its time-born patina, collectors take notice. They don't just see a penny, they see a century-old witness to history. The market value, according to your figure, $160,000, and in the high-stakes world of coin auctions, such a price isn't just a number, it's a statement. It says this coin is not a trinket, not a casual curiosity. It is a vault of history, a tangible relic whose scarcity, character, and story are so compelling that bidders are willing to battle for it until the price reaches heights that could transform an owner's fortune overnight. Picture it. The bidding room alive with tension, 2 collectors locked in a silent duel, neither willing to surrender, until at last the hammer falls, and with it, the recognition that a true treasure has found its next guardian. What makes this coin irresistible is the combination of its historical context, physical uniqueness, and unaltered authenticity. The green layer is more than oxidation. It is a seal of time that no modern mint can replicate. The dirt embedded in its crevices is not neglect. It is evidence of journeys, hands, and transactions that shaped America's past. It's the coin equivalent of an antique relic pulled from an archaeological site, untouched, unpolished, and proudly wearing its history. If you encounter such a coin, you do not hesitate. You secure it, You protect it, and you allow its story to remain intact. Do not strip away its patina or attempt to make it look new, because its value lies in the fact that it has never pretended to be young again. Store it properly, display it with pride, and understand that its worth will only deepen as the decades continue to pass. The 1919 Lincoln wheat cent without mint mark, green layer, dirty condition is the embodiment of why rare coin collecting is so much more than a hobby. It's about connecting with the heartbeat of history, about holding in your palm a piece of America's early 20th century soul. And when that piece of history is valued at $160,000, it is no mere possession, it's a treasure chest condensed into copper. On this channel, we bring you the coins that define the word priceless. And this one, my friends, is a crown jewel among them. Next coin number 3. The year was 1958, a year that would quietly mark the end of an era in American coinage. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president, Elvis Presley was ruling the radio, and the United States was entering a time of rapid social and cultural change. But for numismatists, 1958 carries a bittersweet note. It was the very last year the Lincoln wheat cent would ever be minted. After nearly 50 years of production, the beloved wheat stalk design on the reverse would be replaced in 1959 with the Lincoln Memorial design, closing a chapter that had begun back in 1909. And from this final year comes a treasure, the 1958 Lincoln wheat cent with a D mint mark struck at the Denver Mint. This coin you see before you isn't fresh from the press. No, it wears the dignified marks of time, bearing a natural green shade across its copper surface, the kind of tone that tells the viewer, I've been here. I've seen decades pass. That green hue, the result of slow, natural oxidation, gives this coin a character that can't be replicated by any modern minting process. Combine that with its old condition, which in the language of serious collectors means it is honest, untouched, and unaltered, and you have a piece that radiates authenticity. Now, let's talk about the rarity and why this coin sends waves of excitement through the numismatic world. The Denver Mint struck over 800 million wheat cents in 1958, a massive number. But here's the truth. When a coin marks both the final chapter of a historic series and survives more than 6 decades with unique natural toning, it steps far beyond its original face value. Most 1958 D wheat cents you will encounter today are common, worn flat, and stripped of any distinguishing character. But one with a striking green shade and that original, uncleaned patina becomes something else entirely. It becomes a storyteller, a bridge between the last breath of the wheat cent era and the modern world. And then comes the market reality, $105,000. That's the kind of figure that doesn't just make a collector raise an eyebrow, it makes them lean forward, heart-pounding, knowing they are staring at a final-year rarity with the power to transform a collection's status overnight. This is not a casual purchase. This is a high-stakes acquisition where bidders know they may never see a similar coin again in their lifetime. In that auction room, the final moments are pure electricity, the price climbing higher, the tension building, until the hammer falls and one determined collector walks away with a piece of numismatic history that could be considered their crown jewel. The historical importance of a final year issue cannot be overstated. Collectors love beginnings, but they adore endings, especially when those endings mark the close of a half-century legacy. The 1958 D is, in that sense, a farewell gift from the wheat cent era, and the one in front of us, with its green tone and honest aging, is like a signed final page of a historic manuscript. When you come across a coin like this, don't think twice. Document its details, preserve its condition, and understand that what you hold is more than metal, it is a final heartbeat of an American icon. Keep it safe, shield it from further corrosion, and let it remain a testament to how the smallest piece of currency can carry the weight of history. The 1958 with D. Lincoln wheat cent with green shade in old condition is not just a coin, it's the physical embodiment of an ending, a moment in time that will never return. Its $105,000 valuation isn't just a price tag, it's a declaration that some treasures are too rare, too rich in story to be measured in ordinary terms. And here, on this channel, we make sure you see them for what they truly are, timeless artifacts that belong to those who can appreciate their unmatched place in America's story. Next coin number 4. The year was 1987. The Cold War was easing, technology was beginning to reshape daily life, and the United States Mint was quietly producing a coin that at first glance seemed utterly ordinary. But as every seasoned treasure hunter knows, sometimes the most remarkable gems are hidden in plain sight. From the Philadelphia Mint that year came the 1987 Monticello 5-cent coin, proudly bearing the P Mint mark. Designed by Felix Schlag, its obverse carries the iconic portrait of President Thomas Jefferson, while the reverse displays his legendary Virginia estate, Monticello, rendered with a crispness that reflected Schlag's original artistic vision. Struck from a 75% copper and 25% nickel composition, the year 1987 with P was a standard-issue coin meant for everyday circulation. Millions were made and millions were spent, passed from hand to hand, vanishing into the river of daily commerce. But the one we hold today is no ordinary survivor. Its surface carries a rich brown shade, the kind of natural tone that emerges only after decades of gentle oxidation and environmental exposure. This is not the dull tarnish of neglect, it's the soft, warm patina of age, enhancing the coin's character and setting it apart from the sterile shine of uncirculated examples. In fine condition, its design details remain pleasingly sharp, telling us it has lived a life in the real world but has been spared the kind of heavy wear that erases beauty. Why is it rare? For one, nickels from the 1980s were mass-produced and rarely saved in collectible quality. Most were worn down, scratched, and eventually discarded or damaged. Finding a 1987 with P in fine condition, with unique brown toning, is already a challenge. But when you factor in the growing demand for late 20th century coins in exceptional states, you realize you've stepped into a market where competition is fierce and availability is scarce. And then comes the jaw-dropper, $118,500. That's the kind of auction price that transforms a pocket-change curiosity into a bona fide financial windfall. Picture the scene. The coin is presented under bright lights, its soft brown patina glowing like antique bronze, and the bidding begins. At first, it's cautious, but then the room realizes exactly what's on the block. The pace quickens, the numbers climb, and before long, the price has reached a figure that makes the audience collectively gasp. When the hammer falls, the new owner doesn't just walk away with a nickel, they walk away with an irreplaceable chapter of numismatic history. The appeal of this coin is a marriage of subtle beauty and surprising rarity. It bridges the gap between modern and classic coinage, proving that you do not need centuries-old silver or gold to own a treasure. This is copper-nickel elevated to the realm of art, a small disc that holds the story of Jefferson, Monticello, and the enduring craftsmanship of the United States Mint. Because a coin was minted in your lifetime doesn't mean it's common. Condition, tone, and historical context can elevate the ordinary into the extraordinary, and as this 1987 P proves, sometimes they can elevate it straight into six-figure territory. Protect it, display it, and remember, Once such a piece leaves your hands, you may never see its equal again. The 1987 with P. Monticello 5-cent with brown shade in fine condition is living proof that true treasures are not confined to ancient history. Its $118,500 valuation isn't just a number, it's a testament to the fact that value comes from rarity, beauty, and the stories a coin can tell. And here, on our channel, we bring you only the coins that deserve the title treasure. And this, my friends, is a crown jewel of modern American numismatics. Next coin, number 5. The year was 1946. America was finally breathing the air of peace after the long, grueling years of World War II. Soldiers were returning home. Industry was shifting from wartime production back to the civilian economy, and life in the United States was beginning to bloom again. The war had left its mark on everything, including the nation's coinage. From 1942 to 1945, nickels were struck from a special wartime alloy containing silver to save nickel metal for the war effort. But in 1946, the United States Mint returned to the traditional 75% copper and 25% nickel composition, marking the first post-war issue of the Jefferson nickel series. From the Philadelphia Mint came the 1946 Monticello 5-cent without a mint mark, carrying the familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his stately home, Monticello, on the reverse. At first glance, it might seem like any other post-war nickel, but the one we hold today is far more than that. Across its surface lies a unique constellation of green and brown spots, each formed naturally over the course of nearly 8 decades. These tones aren't imperfections, they are the fingerprints of time, giving the coin a one-of-a-kind aesthetic that no modern minting process could ever duplicate. And this piece isn't just old, it's in very fine condition. That means it has retained crisp details in Jefferson's hair, facial features, and the Monticello architecture, despite years of circulation. Coins from the mid-1940s were workhorses of commerce. Most were worn smooth by decades of heavy use. To find one in this level of preservation, carrying such distinct natural toning, is like stumbling upon a message from 1946, sealed in copper nickel and delivered to the present day. Then comes the market magic, $180,500. That's not just a number on a page, that's the kind of price that sends a ripple of excitement through the auction hall. This isn't merely a nickel being sold, this is a relic of post-war America, and collectors know it. Imagine the scene. The bidding starts modestly, then rises sharply as 2, 3, and even 4 determined collectors push the price higher. Each green and brown spot on this coin becomes part of its story, part of its allure, until at last, the hammer drops and one victorious bidder claims it as their own. Why does this coin command such power in the numismatic world? Because it represents a turning point. 1946 wasn't just another year. It was the year America reclaimed its peacetime rhythm, the year coins returned to their original composition, and the year collectors would later look back on as a moment of transformation. A 1946 nickel in this exceptional state is a tangible piece of that transition, a bridge between the wartime economy and the prosperity that was to come. If you encounter a 1946 nickel in very fine condition with unique natural spotting, you've stumbled upon a sleeper treasure. Do not hesitate. Authenticate it, preserve it, and understand that its value will only grow as time continues to thin the surviving population. This is not the kind of find that lingers on the market. It disappears quickly, often into private collections, where it may not emerge again for decades. The 1946 Monticello 5-cent without mint mark, green and brown spots, very fine condition is a masterpiece of post-war American coinage. Its $180,500 valuation isn't an exaggeration. It's the price of history, beauty, and scarcity converging into one irresistible package. And as always here on this channel, we don't just talk about coins, we reveal treasures that could redefine your collection, and in rare cases like this, your fortune. Next coin, number 6. The year was 1940, the calm before America's entry into World War II. Europe was already engulfed in conflict, and the world's balance hung on a knife's edge. At home, the United States was still in the tail end of the Great Depression, cautiously rebuilding its economy while the hum of factories and the chatter of markets hinted at the dramatic years to come. In that setting, the Monticello 5-cent without a mint mark was being struck at the Philadelphia Mint, carrying Thomas Jefferson's resolute gaze on the obverse and the elegant architecture of his Monticello estate on the reverse. The coin was composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, the classic blend for America's nickels since 1866, and intended for the simple task of commerce. But time has a way of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. The example we are looking at today is no longer just a coin, it is a time capsule. Over 85 years later, it has developed a distinctive grey layer across its surface, a soft, natural patina formed from decades of exposure to the air, hands, and history of America. That grey tone isn't a flaw, it's a mark of authenticity, the visible proof that this nickel has traveled through generations without losing its identity. And here's where the rarity becomes undeniable. A 1940 nickel in fine condition is far from common. This was a workhorse coin, passed through countless transactions during a time when every cent mattered. Most examples from that year have been worn nearly smooth, their details fading into anonymity. But this piece still carries the sharp lines of Jefferson's portrait and the recognizable structure of Monticello, proof that it was spared the harshest wear while still living an active life in circulation. Now, the value is $195,500. This is the point in the story where jaws drop and hearts race. Imagine it, a pre-war nickel, the kind you might have once glanced past without a second thought, commanding a price that could transform a collector's fortune in a single night. In the auction hall, the bidding for such a coin doesn't creep upward, it leaps, driven by the understanding that once this particular piece leaves the stage, there may never be another quite like it. Every glance at its surface, every curve of its toning, speaks to the experienced collector's heart, and they know they're fighting for more than a coin. They're fighting for history itself. The year 1940 holds special significance for numismatists because it captures America on the edge of monumental change. This nickel is a relic of that final moment before war reshaped every part of American life, including its coinage. In 1942, the composition of nickels would change to include silver, a wartime necessity, making pre-war issues like this one a snapshot of the nation's last peacetime standard. When you find a coin like this, you treat it as a treasure chest. Authenticate it, store it properly, and never let it slip away lightly. A coin with this age, this preservation, and this unique natural toning is more than an acquisition. It's a legacy piece, something you can pass down as both a financial asset and a piece of living history. The 1940 Monticello 5-cent without mint, mark grey layer, fine condition, is a breathtaking finale to our list. Its $195,500 valuation isn't just an auction figure, it's a declaration of its place among the greats of American numismatics. This isn't a coin you simply own, it's a coin you inherit, safeguard, and revere. And as always, here on this channel, we bring you the stories and treasures that prove rare coins are not just metal, they are history, wealth, and wonder all in one.